Hey everybody, thank you so much for taking a moment to watch my video about the making and use of paper ruffles. And this is a super easy technique. There are so many ways to do it, and I'm just going to kind of throw a whole bunch of stuff into a really short video to show you how easy it is to do this. So it doesn't matter, and these are examples of me using paper ruffling before. And I don't know how well you can see, but this is a 2-layer paper. I did not fold them together. I folded them separately and adhered them to the top, and then put some bling or lace, you can do whatever you want, on the top, and it gives your page actually a little stability as opposed to it being really loose. And this one, you can see, was just some leftover scrapbook paper, but you can tell I did a zigzag stitch down the middle of this one. I don't always do that, and I'm not going to demonstrate the stitching. You can tell in this one, all I did was use glue. I'm not going to demonstrate the stitching because sewing machines make a lot of noise, so I'm just going to kind of show you how it works. So it doesn't matter what kind of paper, and I brought a variety out here. I have brought leftover, I'm not going to call this cardstock, but you can do it with cardstock. It's a little harder to fold a thicker cardstock, but I had some leftover of this, and I had some leftover scrapbook paper, just plain scrapbook paper. You know, I had a ledger document that had been torn and it wasn't going to provide me much use, so I took the edge off of it. When I have the need for something and I've taken a piece of a document off to make a tag, for example, and I want to be able to use the rest of it, then I can just cut a strip off of that and make it into a paper ruffle. And then on this, I just saved the pieces to show you that when I'm cutting from a book, you want to make sure that you take time to cut the edges off, and the non-folded edge, the exposed edge, because it just makes it kind of bland. And there's no absolute to this. I have seen people do this, and they do it with rulers and they tuck and fold. I don't. I sit, if I'm feeling like I don't have anything to do, I cut strips of paper and I just start folding. So I take what's on top and I bring it down over the bottom. It is never, mine are never perfect. Well, that one's gonna be fun. Sometimes I do really short, sometimes I do longer, sometimes I vary it, like this is an example of a very varied one. Now, if I were to take this, I would run it through and either do a zigzag stitch and use it as is, or if I really wanted to secure it, I could do a straight seam stitch, but otherwise, just a tiny dab of your glue of choice underneath it, and it'll stabilize it for you. Then all you do is take, and I'm just grabbed some stuff out of my stash. So you just take and adhere down whatever embellishment you want to add to it. So this is giving you an example of what a bling embellishment would look like. I grabbed a thin lace that is more of an edge, but it kind of shows you what it would look like with that. Now keep in mind, if you're using glue and you've got porous surface, it's going to show through. So you really have to go easy and make sure that your choice, like this one, would be just dabs of glue on the back of my lace so that it would hold it down. And you can actually mix it up also. I have a small piece of bling, and you can put lace and then just add a pop of color of any kind. Any textile will work on it, but it's about just giving you kind of some variety of something that nobody else has, because nobody else will make that exact piece. So here's that cardstock-ish stuff that I was working with, and you can see that it's a little harder to fold. Now, when it's a little harder to fold, usually what ends up happening for me is I go crooked, And so I just kind of want to, see I'm crooked, and it's not a big deal because you're going to straighten it out when you apply it to the page. So, and truly, some people are really, really perfectionist. It's not my style. I tend to be very shabby chic and very boho, and I can come back and fix this. I have to, if I have to. So it's giving you an idea of how to fold. This is the hardest type of paper to fold with. And then you can take, and I'll use this thin one again, you can take and add something down the middle. And I always ink my edges with something subtle or something bold. It just depends. But how fun would that be with for an edge of a page that has need for a little bit of feistiness to it, but doesn't have anything of that I don't have anything that really should fit that edge. This is just scrapbook paper, and it's the easiest because it's, well, some of the easiest. It's the thinnest, and you can go, and whatever else you can do is you can cut strips and just have them sitting there, and then just sew it if you'd like, and then cut off a piece that meets your needs. And so you might have a really long strip of this. I've been known to sew pieces together. And when I do that, then I have a really long strip, and sometimes they blend. I catch the edge of one and the edge of the other. So it might end up looking like that. And when I cut my ruffle, my paper, they come together like so, and I would end up with that piece right there. So there's no right way and wrong way. If you're gonna do that, it's helpful if you always cut the same size. I traditionally stick with about 1 inch. I used a bigger piece here on my ledger because I wanted my ledger paper. I like the extra verbiage on the ledger paper, and there was more writing on one side versus, now I'm not stuck with this side. Just because this is the direction that I'm folding doesn't mean I can't come back and use the opposite side. If I decide that one side looks better than the other, then I can come back and do that. And these are so, I'm just doing it really happenstance just to kind of get it through the video. You can take floral, like if you have any floral embellishments, and it doesn't take a lot to give your page an extra pop on the edge. And use that to stabilize it. You can hang, these are, I have some bead dangles. If you wanted, you could hang like a smaller, I would do a smaller, but a smaller bead dangle off the edge of it, and it would be really pretty. So there's that opportunity also. And then book pages are, you have to be cautious. If you're choosing a book, you have to check a page in advance to make sure that it doesn't crease and break when you fold it. So when I'm gonna fold this, and I usually take the top part off too, I've already checked another page in advance and it does not break. And then it's harder, to be honest with you, I'm gonna use an oxide here. It's harder to ink them after the fact. It's easier to ink them ahead of time. So if I were to make this, it would be a lot easier for me to just pull my ink through before I started my folding. And that way my folding would have, there'd be a variable in my inking process, if that makes any sense. I kind of like that fat piece too. So lots and lots of options as far as using different papers. It's a good way to make use of, like I said, if you've got paper left over because you made a tag and you want to be able to use that paper, or you have your leftover, how many of us don't have leftover scrapbook papers and things sitting around, or you've got a really, sorry page that has beauty to it, but you're not going to be able to use it on a journal as a page all by itself. You can take edges and pieces and end up using those in ways that are fun and different. So I encourage you to try lots of different things. Play. just really play. Like there's no right or, I go back to the same saying over and over again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's unique. It's all just what you do. It's how you complete the process. So really have fun and try different things and play with it. And I would love to see the pictures of what you do, but just remember when you do it, it's really adding depth and texture to every single page. This is a back-to-back digital print, and I have this nice, beautiful, rigid space. So I hope you were able to get some joy out of this, and I look forward to sharing next time. Thank you all, and I will see you again soon. Bye-bye.